The following program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County and the generous gifts of these contributors.
Welcome to Mosaic. I'm your host, Susan Shulman Pertnoy. Mosaic is Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine, exploring the most critical issues facing Jews here and around the world. Today, we're on location at the Mandel Jewish Community Center. We're hearing how the JCC is meeting the challenge of growing community needs through innovative programs and overwhelming community support. We'll be right back. We're horrified as we watch the people of Ukraine faced with an onslaught of Russian attacks. One of the world's largest Jewish populations, Ukraine is home to many elderly Jews, including many Holocaust survivors. Our community is joining together with our global partners to provide food, medicine, and emergency shelter for thousands of vulnerable Jews. Visit jewishpb.org to learn how you can join the effort. We're here today on location at the Mandel JCC of the Palm Beaches, and joining us is the President and CEO, Jesse Rosen. Jesse, welcome back to Mosaic.
Great to be with you.
For those viewers who really don't know what the JCC is all about, can you give us an overview?
It's actually really simple. Since 1974, the Mandel JCC has been here to build community. Our job, our mission, our reason for getting out of bed in the morning is to find different ways to build community, and whatever that means to different people. We really have tried to focus what we do into 4 distinct pillars. Right now, if it doesn't fit into those 4 boxes, we're really letting somebody else do it and trying to do things that we do better than anybody else. The 4 pillars that we really focus on are special needs. Our special needs population has a lot of programming opportunities that we really can serve. It's young families, so it's a preschool and camp and activities for our youngest community members and their families. It's our more mature adults, and really we serve them through arts and culture. We do film festivals and book events and things that really engage their brains. And teens, teen engagement. We've so many new people moving to the community, and working with tweens and teens is really the 4th leg of what we do every day.
You're one agency, but you serve 2 diverse communities. You want to tell us about that?
You know, it's interesting. I've only been here for 3 years, but if I've learned nothing, I've learned that people kind of stay in their little area, and we tend to be pretty localized. So we focus our efforts right now in our 2 physical locations, in Palm Beach Gardens and in Boynton Beach. And it really is 2 diverse, separate populations. You know, we've worked hard to at least get on the same calendar and have a lot of the same offerings, and our quality is very high in both locations, but we really do serve different families.
Will you elaborate on that?
So I think you'll find in our community there's more similarities than differences. You know, we're all, very similar, but we do see a difference in the populations we serve. For instance, in Boynton Beach, in our preschool, the majority of our families there are dual income working parents who really need the care. In Palm Beach Gardens, we have a lot of those as well, but we also see a fair number of folks who maybe don't need the care as much every day, but they need the socialization, so they choose us for those type of things as well. But we see kids coming from all over. We see adults coming from all over. We get them from north and south. We get people from outside the county up into Martin County, and we really try to serve everybody in one way or another.
How did the JCC navigate through the pandemic, and how are you doing moving forward?
I'm really proud of our team. We have an amazing team of professional staff that from the day we closed our doors in March of 2020, it was all about what can we do today to provide a safe environment for the families we serve, and how do we look towards tomorrow, whenever that tomorrow is, where COVID's a thing of the past. And what we've been really proud of is the way we pivot. We pivot on a regular basis. We changed protocols as recently as a couple weeks ago. And we built a trust with our families and with our community that whatever we were doing, they knew that safety was our top priority. We were able to serve families from the very beginning of COVID when they couldn't go to school. Parents could still go to work, bring their kids to us, and we would let them do their distance learning from our JCC. We upgraded our internet so that we could have 100 kids at a time getting on to virtual learning. And so we found unique ways that nobody had thought of. We were one of the first in the country to open up our doors for that all day at the J programming because our families needed it. And one thing that you'll find about JCCs is we adapt and change. It's really to meet the ever-changing needs of the community. And in COVID, they've changed faster than ever.
You do so much in the community, but why are preschools and the camps so vital to the JCC?
Partly because it's the most fun. It is absolutely the most fun place. If you come and watch our kids in either preschool or camp, they're always got a smile on their face. And that's really why I like to say we do it. But the truth is, there's research that shows that children who have a meaningful experience in preschool or day camp or overnight camp exponentially lead a Jewish life as adults way more than those that don't. And so I really see it as our ability to help ensure the future of the Jewish people by providing those opportunities now for children to automatically be predisposed to be actively Jewish throughout their whole lives.
Talk about your teachers and how do you retain them? I know it's very difficult.
You know, our teachers, I say all of our staff are created equal, but some are more equal than others, and there's nobody more equal than our educators. It's a hard job. I mean, they're taking care of children as young as a few months old up until 4 or 5 years old. And pre-pandemic, we had really great staff who loved being here. And the economy has just changed a little bit. And one of the challenges that we've had to face is for generations, preschool teachers around the country, especially Jewish preschool teachers, were typically a second income in a home, and it was a way for traditionally the mom, the wife, to socialize and be with kids and other moms and work some. Now it's really morphed into a profession, and this is the primary income for our staff, and so the wages historically have not kept up. And so where we're really fighting from behind is that we have, over the last, since pandemic, have been losing people to places like Starbucks and Aldi's and other, what I would call more entry-level jobs. And we really want to invest in our program because what I promise these parents is the best-in-class care. And to have that, we have to have the best-in-class teachers. And to do that, we have to pay them a wage that is commensurate with the work they do.
How is our Jewish Federation assisting you with this effort?
It is a challenge, because everybody's budget is tight and finances, the need has never been greater for care. And so our partners at the Jewish Federation have helped us look at local funding from some very generous donors. We've looked at some local and national foundation money that we can try to find, but it's really a systemic problem nationally that we're really leading in Palm Beach by trying to find solutions now that are sustainable. It's really easy, it's easier to find one-time money. We can go to a donor and say, please, can you help us over this one hurdle? But this is a paradigm shift that forever we're gonna have to invest differently into our staff, and the community's right on board.
As they should be. This is really critical. I know you have a lot of parents that need scholarship. Has the pandemic increased that need?
This community is incredibly generous, and we have seen scholarships for families forever. That's part of who we are and what we do. We have a very strong belief that no child or no participant should not be able to be here because they can't afford it. And likewise, everybody has to have some skin in the game. We never give 100% scholarship. But we have seen the need since pandemic in all of our programs go up. I think it's a combination of inflation. I think it's a combination of job change. I think there's a lot of new people in the community, and we have seen through almost all of our programs the need has gone up, and even more so this year, which really surprised me a little bit, that people think the pandemic's over and everything's back to normal, but as we're preparing for camp, we're seeing the need higher than ever. We're asking our donors to help us create meaningful experiences for these kids, to create magic at camp over the summer.
Well, speaking of camp, we're going to talk all about it, but we first have to take a brief message. We'll be right back. Coming up, we learn how the JCC is creating a more inclusive community. We're horrified as we watch the people of Ukraine faced with an onslaught of Russian attacks. One of the world's largest Jewish populations, Ukraine is home to many elderly Jews, including many Holocaust survivors. Our community is joining together with our global partners to provide food, medicine, and emergency shelter for thousands of vulnerable Jews. Visit jewishpb.org to learn how you can join the effort. Joining us now is Samantha Klein, the Managing Director of the Mandel JCC. Sam, welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you.
Is this the first time you've been on the show?
It is. I'm excited.
Wow, well, we're thrilled to have you. I know you've been with the JCC for over 10 years, so you know all about camp. What makes it so special?
I think what makes Camp Shalom so special is that every day is different than the next and better. We're always doing the next best thing. Our camp directors are extremely creative. A couple of years ago, we added a Ninja Warrior course to our campus. And last year, we added boating to our campus. And our camp directors are constantly trying to make every day different, whether it's an impromptu ice cream social or a foam party. When you come to Camp Shalom, every day is different and better.
You've served most of Palm Beach County and children of all faiths. So tell us about some of the other options that you do.
Sure. Well, Camp Shalom is open to ages 2 through grade 8, and then we have our counselor and training program for 9th and 10th graders. We do a sports camp, we do a traditional camp, and we do a camp for those with special needs for ages up to 22. And then in our Boynton Beach campus, we have a couple of specialty programs, theater and filmmaking.
Camp Shalom takes pride in bringing Israel to the campers, and you provide emissaries, or shlichim as they're called, from Israel. Talk about that program.
Yeah, we love that program. It's a way for us to bring Israel to camp in a little bit more, in not such a professional sense. It's a little bit more social. They're included as counselors in our camp groups. They'll teach whatever their skills are, they bring to camp. So if they're a cooking specialist, they'll be our cooking counselor for the summer. Or if they're a soccer, if they're really into soccer, they'll bring soccer skills to camp. So it's our way of kind of integrating into camp so that the kids get to know them, get to know a little bit about Israel in a more natural setting.
And it really becomes a two-way street. We've seen, I just heard that one of our shlichim is coming back this summer for her 3rd summer. Not because she has to, but because this has become her second home. I know in other places we've had families go to Israel for their weddings, and they'll come here, and they really build a bond that's way more than just camp.
That's really something very extraordinary. How do you choose these shlichim?
So there's an interview process through the Jewish Agency in Israel, and our staff, in the olden days, pre-pandemic, staff would go to Israel and do interviews, but now in the Zoom world, in the recent weeks, they've been interviewing shlichim from all over Israel and trying to find the ones who are exactly the right fit for our community.
It's fabulous to be able to expose them to the campers,
Absolutely.
To a little bit of Israel.
Many of them have never been to Israel before and have absolutely no idea about anything. So they kind of, one year we had our shlichim that kind of showed them the map of Israel, showed them where they lived, showed them the culture, and was really able to teach them a lot.
It just makes it more real. I mean, it's right in front of them instead of this theoretical thing in the movies or on TV.
Are they teens as well, or are they?
Most of the ones that come are a little bit older. They're right before their Army service, I think is when they come. So in that 19 to 20 year range.
And do they stay with host families, or what? How do you?
They do. We have host families that typically are our campers' parents. That they'll stay with them for a week or 2 weeks at a time.
Well, it's an enriching experience, as you said earlier, for them as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's terrific. How has the pandemic affected camp and your enrollment?
So surprisingly, camp enrollment is at its peak. We have more campers than ever. I think that certainly during the pandemic, we were able to open our doors when nobody else was. And so we really got a lot more campers than we typically would from all over, like Jesse said earlier. And now they keep coming. You know, once you're in the doors, we sell you and you never want to leave. So now that we're coming to a little bit more of normalcy, people are coming back from all counties, and we're actually sold out right now, and typically in some age groups. And typically that doesn't even happen until closer to camp time.
And we're seeing kids take more weeks. We sell it by the week. We try to really sell to what our customers want, because they may go out of town for this week or this week and they don't want to pay for the whole summer. But we are seeing that families are taking more weeks per child, so they're getting more care, whether it's they need to or just because they love us.
They probably love you, of course. Sam, you are offering for the first time a very special aspect to camp. I'm not even going to divulge it. I want you to have the pleasure.
I am so excited about this new program. We're calling it J Nights, and it's actually the first of its kind in North Palm Beach. It is a Monday through Friday overnight experience where they will participate in Camp Shalom during the day, and then we'll bus them to the FAU campus in Jupiter for the night. And so they will sleep there, they'll have evening programs, they'll eat, shower, be with their friends and hang out, and then we'll bus them the next morning back to Camp Shalom. And they'll do that Monday through Friday, and they'll get picked up by their families on Friday, enjoy the weekend with them, and then return on Monday. And it's a really exciting opportunity. It's something we've never done, and like I said, it's brand new in the area. And it just is, it's good for two reasons. It's really a stepping stone for those that maybe want to try sleepaway camp later on and want to see if it's for them. And then there's those kids that never really want to go away for the whole summer, but this allows them to have that overnight experience and then have the safety of, you know, being home and with their family on the weekend.
That was one of my kids.
What I'm really proud of is this is an idea that our team just came up with. They brought it to me one day and said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, this is exactly what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to find the new thing that this community needs and figure out a way to do it better than anybody else.
There's so much excitement at Camp Shalom, but we have to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about an extra special program for special children. We'll be right back. Coming up, a mother tells a heartwarming story about her daughter and the JCC program that changed her life. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Celebrate Israel's 75th birthday during an exclusive mission to the Jewish homeland. Learn more at jewishpb.org/Israel75. Joining us now are John Cabot, who's the Mandel JCC's Director of Inclusion, and Lori Wasserman Sturgis, who's a parent of a JCC child. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
John, let's start with you. I know our JCC special needs program is unique, but tell us why.
So in the last several years, we've really made a change in the focus of our special needs program from a more respite-based child care facility where it was drop your child off for a day, come spend the summer with us, and not so much get intervention, but have a safe place to play and have fun. And we really shifted from that to intervention-based model where when our kids are starting in preschool, they're getting gold standard early intervention, which research says is the best way to make long-term change. When they come to camp, they're in a program that's working on social skills, life skills, and further development. And there's not a wasted minute. When our kids are with us, they are fully engaged throughout the day, learning these critical skills to carry on to the next environment.
Why is inclusion so important?
So what the current research is saying is that children learn best from their neurotypically developing peers. So the old model that most places are still using is called self-contained, where it's a classroom or a camp group full of children with exceptionalities. And what we're learning is kids who have a deficit in social skills being put in a room with all other kids who have the same deficit, they're not making the progress we need to see. If it's a child who has a deficit in communication skills and there are around 8 other kids who are nonverbal, we're not seeing the increase in communication. So by shifting to an inclusion model, we're getting them around peers that have the skills that they need to replicate. They're learning the skills faster, more successfully, and what's actually really nice to see is it's not just the benefit for our children with exceptionalities. Our typically developing peers are becoming better communicators because they're learning to communicate with all types of learners. They're becoming more empathetic and their social skills are increasing as well. So the benefit goes both ways.
It's remarkable. It really is. Are these programs becoming more necessary?
They're becoming more and more necessary every day, unfortunately. The CDC just released their last numbers for autism, and the prevalence rate has jumped to 1 in 44.
Oh my God.
Before that, it was 1 in 57. It was in 1 in 73. About 10 years ago, it was over 1 in 100. And my brother, who just turned 44, when he was diagnosed, it was 1 in 10,000.
Why do you think that is?
It's a combination of things. We are diagnosing better. When we diagnosed my brother, we actually had to fly him out to UCLA, put him in their inpatient psych unit for a week to get the diagnosis. Now you can go down the street to your pediatrician, your neurologist, your developmental pediatrician and get that diagnosis. We are fishing with a bigger net, as I like to say. For our, what's considered high functioning children, they used to be just considered a child that had some odd behaviors, but no one knew what it was, and now they're being diagnosed with high functioning autism. And our children that were a little bit more complex used to be considered intellectually disabled in just that, and now we're realizing that it is autism and intellectual disability that are both going on at the same time, and as this is happening, the diagnosing is just getting better and better.
That's great news. Lori, tell us about your journey with your daughter and how you chose our JCC.
Well, my daughter, she had a speech delay initially, which we knew. And she was at another preschool, and they just didn't know how to reach her. They didn't know how to deal with her, how to redirect her. And what would end up happening is that while all the other kids were sitting in circle time, they would just let her go play in the corner someplace by herself. And it was terrible. So when we pulled her out, COVID hit.
Oh boy.
And we're like, my husband and I discussed actually having her, because I thought it was time to have her evaluated. And she was evaluated by Dr. Judith Aronson Ramos, who's very well known for autism. And she was the person who told us we should look into the JCC in Boynton. Because at the time, my husband and I were lost. We didn't know what school was going to take her, because she's very high functioning. She just has a speech delay. But in doing that, you can't really get information from her. It's, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to connect.
Correct. Right.
So when we first found the JCC in Boynton, I was skeptical, to say the least. I know. And as soon as we met John, Sydney took to him right away, took to the school right away. And hearing his story about his own family, we just knew we were where we were supposed to be. And it's been such an incredible experience for her.
Can you tell us a little bit about her experience and how she's progressed?
Absolutely. She's a different child. Like when we first brought her in to meet him, we were talking, it's a little joke we have. She couldn't focus. And my husband and I used to look at each other and go, squirrel. That joke about having the attention span of a squirrel. And now she focuses, she does her classwork, she participates in class. She has friends.
That's remarkable.
She has best friends. She's so social, and she's at the top of her class. She is a different child. Her communication is different. She's direct. She's talking.
And this is all within the past, how many years?
Not even a year.
Oh my goodness, what a remarkable program.
Yeah. We would be lost without them, honest to God.
John, what's your secret sauce? How do you do this?
We did a few things that really made these results possible. And when I came on, I was very lucky to have the full backing of the JCC leadership to do something that's never really been done at a JCC before. We talked about my brother earlier. We were the family that when he received the diagnosis, we were told, you can either have early intervention or you can have early childhood Jewish education. You can't have both. And Judaism was closed to us for many years. When it was time to get him bar mitzvahed, no synagogue would allow him to go through. We finally convinced a shul to do it. It had to be on a Monday when no other child was getting bar mitzvahed. Only our family was allowed to be there. And we didn't want that for any other family. And Jesse and the team said, do what you need to do to keep other families from feeling that experience. And we were able to bring on two amazing special educators who spent about 15 to 20 years apiece in the ESE world doing early intervention. And these are people who their last jobs were training 315 teachers, 600 teachers assistants, and working with 4,500 kids with special needs in the preschool world. And they were brought on just to be teachers in this program. And putting that experience and having staff who spoke the language, knew what to do, and were brought into the early childhood Jewish department, we're able to combine the best of both worlds, where our kids are now getting top of the line early intervention. They're getting all the same programming they would go into a clinic just for children with autism, but they're getting it in an inclusion-based room with typically developing peers that's only increasing the results that they're getting. And given such high-level staff in a classroom and really focusing on teacher training, we're working on not just these two rooms, but bringing the training to the rest of our teachers so that every room is an inclusion-based room that's setting every child up for success has really been what has set us apart from other programs.
John, what are the costs of raising a child with unique abilities?
So the current numbers right now say that for a young child with autism going through age 5, there's an additional cost of $60,000 per year on top of what it is to raise any child. And that's a combination of added therapies, added tuition, and then lost income from parents' inability to hold a full-time job because they have to get their children to all of these therapies. So you're adding a net loss of $60,000 on top of everything else that you're already paying for a child.
Wow. Lori, how does a young family like yours handle that?
Well, you know, having the JCC's program in place has made a tremendous difference, because inside of her school environment and the money that we would already be paying for preschool, we have a teacher and teacher's assistants who have 10 plus years experience with these kids. So it really does help in how much therapy she needs, how much help she gets, and the gains that she makes are exponential because you have somebody that knows how to interact with her, somebody who knows how to redirect if there's a problem, somebody who knows how to communicate and get the point across. And it's been a relief. It's been such a relief to have them and to have Mr. John and John Cabot, there are two Johns, there and able to work with her, because it takes away the need for certain things.
Jesse, what about scholarship opportunities for this program?
You know, you hear Lori's story and Sydney's story, and it just reiterates to me why we do what we do, that we never want a family to have the financial stress be why this type of program is available to them. So we work really hard to offer scholarship to families that need it. It's need-based scholarship that our individual donors in the community support. There's no money that falls out of the sky. Mm-hmm. This is hard-earned dollars of our amazing donors that change these lives. And it's our honor to do it. And we're really just the go-between that makes it possible.
Well, I really appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to talk to us today and that you've shared your story. And thank you for all the remarkable work that you do.
This program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County.